Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, guys. Hope you guys are doing well. And thanks for joining me on the top 10 bites of 2023. But before we get into that video, I just want to take a moment and say thank you to those of you who subscribe to the OneBadShad YouTube channel. I really do appreciate your support. For those of you who haven't, you're on the naughty list until you do so. You know this, right? That's just how it works. I don't make up these rules. I've looked at the list from 2023. It is getting around Christmas time. And for those of you who haven't, go ahead and hit that subscription button and the notification bell. That'll keep you up to date on when new videos drop, especially in 2024, which, by the way, I've got a project that's coming to the channel that means so much to me. You know what? Here's what we're going to do, because I am excited about this project, but I want to get you guys involved. Here's how we're going to do this. I'm bringing an American classic truck to the channel as the kayak hauler.
It sounds like a great time.
It does, doesn't it? Now, for those of you who want to get involved, here's what you got to do. You got to be a subscriber, obviously. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to leave a comment in this video of your best guess of what that American classic truck might be. Now, you got to come up with the make, model, and year. Here's how it's going to go down. The first person to comment is going to win. They're going to win something. I'll make sure I get something out to you. The second person to win is going to be the person who is closest with their guess to the make, model, and year of this American classic truck. You guys are looking for hints. You might want to check out some of the videos from 2023. I do believe there might be a couple of videos where I do mention this truck. And so anyways, I'm not going to say any more than that. I'm just going to say that there might be an easy guess somewhere in the videos from 2023, which brings us to this video, the top 10 bites of 2023. Now, not every bass in this video makes the cut because of its size. Some of these clips are just based off of, the location or what it meant to me to catch that bass at that time, or maybe it just has to do with that experience from that day. But I'm joining you guys for this one. I'm coming along for the ride. That's right. We're doing a director's commentary style video. I'm going to give you guys some of the background, or maybe some of the behind the scenes info on some of these bites, maybe talk a little bit about the location, and maybe even some of the tips or tricks that I used with the baits that have caught these bass. So thanks for joining me. Let's get to it. Number 10. Oh, that was a little creepy, but that's what we're going with. Let's get to it. Number 10. All right, guys, let's get to it. This first video, or the first bite of 2023, came in Leesburg, Florida. This one was just outside of Orlando on a private lake. Well, I guess it's not really private, because let's just say this: there's a fee to get on this lake. So if you pay the fee, I guess anyone who's willing to pay the fee can fish it. So it's not really private, but it obviously does not get a lot of traffic, because there's a lot of good places to fish in Florida that don't cost money. So actually, I was down there for the Hobie BOS event on the Harris chain of lakes, which I finished miserably. I had a really bad first day. But anyways, this fish meant something to me, because this was actually the first bass of 2023 for me. What's funny is that this was the first time I actually had this kayak out in 2023. First time really being on this kayak for real. First time I had this fish finder running. And as you can see, I have it just on 2D.
Right there.
And I hadn't even really set up the fish finder yet. I literally got out in the water. This is the first time I even turned that fish finder on, and I couldn't resist seeing those lily pads over there next to the cattails. So I already had a frog tied on and on my frog rod. And that was like the first or second cast, maybe the second cast, and got this bass. And not that big or anything, not really a big bass, but always the first one of the year always means something. And for me, you guys know me, I love fishing the frog. So obviously, first bass of 2023, being on a frog, meant something to me. Something about that bait though, real quick. That is it's a Booyah Pad Crasher. The standard size, I think Booyah makes a standard size and a junior size, but that one's a standard size, and that one is an aqua frog. Number 9. Number 9 takes place in Leesburg, Florida, as well, on that same body of water. Actually, I said that this was a paid access to this lake, and it is, but actually I had access to it because I was also camping on this lake for the Hobie BOS Harris Chain of Lakes event down there in Leesburg, Florida. So I had access to this several days prior to the actual event starting. This was actually pre-frontal storm, so there was a storm that rolled in during this event that brought 45 mile per hour winds. I think this day was about 25 mile per hour winds. The frog bite kind of went away, so I switched to a shaky head because I saw this grass line that was submerged under the water, and I was just kind of throwing that rig right in front of the grass and just kind of going in and out of the grass. I was using the Zoom Magnum Old Monster 12-inch. One of my favorite colors of that is going to be in that June Bug or June Bug Red Flake, and that's going to look something like this. This is actually on the shaky head that I caught this bass with. This is a 4/0 shaky head. I think this shaky head is from Reaction Tackle, but I will say one thing about it. They have pretty fair prices for decent equipment, but this shaky head, I think, has a little bit of a thin hook on it. I would like to see a little bit stouter hook, especially for a 4/0 hook, but for the prices, it is tungsten. You're going to get 2 or 3 of these, I think, for the price of basically one in any kind of big box store. But again, ribbon tail, 12-inch, Old Monster,
Pond again.
June Bug Red Flake. I love that color, depending on the water clarity. But that's about the types of worms that I will fish. Will be something in that range of that Zoom Magnum or Old Monster. And in those colors. I also like the Ultra Vibe a lot. The Ultra Vibe, I think, is it's a really nice worm for grass because it has that hook on the tail and it kind of ticks through the grass, kind of like a creature would, kind of swimming through the grass. It's going to make that same noise. I think bass key in on that. This bass, it made the list at number 9 because this was the first bass over 5 pounds for 2023. This is a good bass for a good solid bass anywhere, but Florida's got those monsters down there, so 5 pounds is it's not a real big accomplishment. I mean, if you're looking to catch some big bass and you guys haven't fished in Florida, I advise you to take a trip down there sometime and take your shot at it. You'll probably get into a couple of 5-pounders pretty quick. But this was the first 5-pounder plus of 2023, so it made the list. Another thing, the reason why I came over into these lily pads is because I don't have an anchor system for this kayak, and the wind was pretty strong that day, and it kept blowing me across this lake. And on the other side of the lake, for whatever reason, there was a bank full of alligators. They're just, I don't know, I'm trying to warm up or whatever they were doing, but there was some pretty good size alligators. So I was using these lily pads as my anchor system whenever I caught a fish to not get blown over into their territory. But it's always the alligators you don't see, right? Those are the ones you got to worry about. Like I said, this bass, 5 pounds, 5 pounds plus. I think it measured in just over 21 inches. I think it was getting close to 22 inches. Had a good sized belly on it. Was full. Had a nice shoulders on it, if you want to call it that. Just a real nice, healthy, thick Florida bass. Number 8. So we're in Northwest Indiana. This is the Oxbow Lake. If you guys know anything about Northwest Indiana, especially in the wintertime, that most bodies of water are frozen over. They're frozen solid. Most guys are ice fishing at this time of year. The hook set. You know it's a good hook set when your hand comes off the reel.
That's a biggie.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this video actually is that every time I was catching a bass, there was these two guys fishing on the bank. One guy was like, "Yeah, man, way to go. Nice catch, nice bass." And the other guy, who was just a little bit further down the bank that was also fishing, he was the exact opposite. He was like, "Get out of here. Stop fishing. What are you doing?" And he was fishing himself, so I don't really get that one. One guy was loving it. The other guy was just hating it. But I just thought that was funny. It was split personalities on the bank. But yeah, if you see how far that bass just bit that jig. That was a Strike King Bitsy bug in green pumpkin with a Z-Man TRD bugs and Bama bug color. But I'm going to pause it here real quick because I want to talk to you guys about jigs in particular, because I've got some news for you guys in 2024. Another reason why you guys should hit that subscription button and that notification bell. I've got my own jigs that I've designed coming to the channel. Now, these jigs are completely different than most things that are on the market because these jigs are not only created by me, but they are being made by me. So they're American made by me, not by anybody else. I'm not hiring people out to make these things. I'm not outsourcing them. I am getting all the materials and I'm making these jigs. But what sets these jigs apart from every other jig on the market is that, as you guys know, I'm into fly fishing as well, and I've been tying flies for a very long time. So my jigs are not only hand poured and the materials are hand selected, the colors are custom colors, stuff that you're not going to really find on the market. The other thing is that all the silicone skirts are hand tied on these jigs. They are not coming off. The other thing that I do is I use a heavy stout hook, a 3/0 hook on my finesse jigs, which in my experience, a lot of jigs that are on the market, they're using those ultra thin hooks and they're breaking, they're opening up, they're bending open. When you go to bend them back, they're snapping off with your pliers. The skirts, the skirts, don't even get me started. Their skirts are thin and falling off. But my jigs are completely different. I'm going to show you one of these that I've been working on. Here's one of them. Look at this jig. This color obviously is my own color combination. Look at that hook, guys. That is a stout 3/0 hook on a jig that is going to handle a beat down. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm putting a wire keeper on my jigs. I'm not using that lead keeper. I'm using a wire keeper specifically for the trailers that I put on these jigs. Now that's another thing that I'm doing. So if you guys are a subscriber to the channel and you buy some jigs from me on OneBadShad, these jigs are designed for specific trailers. They are going to come to you already rigged up with a trailer on it. So how cool is that? You're not going to find that a lot of places. So for example, this jig, if someone buys this jig is coming like this with a skirt that is not coming off. I mean, this skirt is so well tied on there and already trimmed to size, everything. This thing's going to ride perfect. And a trailer is coming with this thing. A trailer is already going to be on this hook. That way you guys know how I fish these. You guys, every time you buy one of these jigs, you're going to learn what I'm using for trailers. And I'm basing it all off of experience and success. So anything that comes on these jigs, I've had success with. Coming in pretty cool colors. Check this one out. This one has been a absolute mop for me. This thing is cleaning the deck with bass. This thing just gets it done. I'm telling you. This one I believe is a 1/4 ounce with a stout 3/0 hook. I pair this up with a trailer that this thing drops so subtle. It's crazy. It really is crazy. So enough of that. Just look for them in 2024. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so you can get maybe even a little bit of a discount. Let's get back to the video.
Should pop right out pretty easily.
Yeah, this bass in Indiana it's a pretty decent bass.
Fish.
Indiana isn't really known for real
That's a
big
good
bass,
fish.
or at least largemouth bass. I should say that because
They're just
they
going really
they
slow.
are bordered
There he is.
on Lake Michigan, and Lake Michigan's got some pretty decent smallmouth bass, and there are some lakes that do have smallmouth, but you get into northwest Indiana, you're kind of more like talking about walleye and
Fatty but goody.
salmon, trout,
Okay, let this one go.
smallmouth bass.
All right, buddy.
There he goes. All right, moving on. Number 7. All right, number 7. The reason why this came in at number 7 of the top 10 bites of 2023 was basically because of the actual photography of this. Now I'm just filming this on GoPro, so it's nothing special, but I'm also a photographer, and this scene to me was gorgeous. I love that backlit subject with that sun just right at the horizon of those trees. To me, the entire day was creating this immaculate softbox effect on this water. The water's super green, the kayaks that almost like fluorescent yellow, and then you had some dark contrast and blues in there, but that backlit sun, and then the color when the sun was setting, it started to become warm on a winter's day. I love the contrast of the trees and the sky. And, in fact, this bass was actually quite ugly. It was a big bass. This bass should have been over 5 pounds, but because of its health, it probably only was maybe 2.5. I mean, it was all scarred up. But so number 7, based on just the colors of the day. Sometimes it's all about the experience and not necessarily about the bass. So number 6. All right, guys, we are in Tarboro, North Carolina on the Tar River. I was fishing a bed right here, and there actually was a male and a female on this bed. I ended up catching the male, but the female, I was trying to catch the female, but they were kind of just interchanging positions on the bed, and the male ended up biting first, and the female swam off. But that female was so big. My guess was that it was sitting in between 23, 25 inches, and it was fat, probably from chowing down on shad, and full of eggs. It was, in my estimation, an easy 10-pound bass. It was massive. I caught the male on this bed, which was, it's a solid bass, but it wasn't the size of that female. But this river, this Tar River, this is actually the Tar River Reservoir. The Tar River dumps into this reservoir, and I spent a lot of time on this body of water in the summertime of 2023, or early spring, right around the spawn, and it was hard to find spawning bass because of the clarity and visibility in this body of water. That river, there's a lot of rain in the spring, a lot of rain in the summer, but it just kept bringing in new mud all the time, and it made a month of, I think I was there June, something like that. It made it really tough conditions. It was almost impossible to sight fish, and the bites were hard to come by. So any fish, big fish, especially even fish like this where I could actually see the bed, was something special. So that's why I made the list. Number 5. All right, guys, we're back on that Oxbow Lake in northwest Indiana. This one made the cut because it's a frog bite. Oh, there it is. I love the frog bite. I love fishing the frog. But this one also made the cut because this was a good-sized bass for northwest Indiana. A good-sized largemouth bass on a river system, I should say. There's a lot of smallmouth bass in this river system, but this is a good-sized largemouth on the frog. I didn't really think it was going to be a frog day, so I was throwing a frog on a
GoPro, stop recording.
on a rod that's not really my frog rod. It's running fluorocarbon. Usually I throw it on braid, but you can see that bass choked that frog. Now,
He was eating into it.
I'm going to talk about the frog here in a little bit, and I'll show you that frog
So he might
in a
be
video
little bit
with a different bass just
far.
because I have a better angle of that frog. But that frog is a lunker hunt frog, you know, the one that has kind of like those realistic legs on the
First, I
back.
thought he was a pike.
But I've owned that frog for a very long time, and I've modified it so many times.
Yeah.
We're going to go a little bit over the modifications.
That.
But yeah, this
Good
bass right here,
bass.
over 5 pounds, Northwest
Nice.
Indiana, on the frog. And the bite, this thing
Oh,
came
let's
up
do
to
this.
kill this frog. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, so you guys know me. You guys know I love throwing a frog. That lunker hunt
Let's see
frog
what it is.
catches a lot of bass. I've been trying to keep it in operation.
18 inches.
I'm always repairing it.
frog.
It probably has more super glue than it does plastic on it. I'm actually going to retire that frog, but I'll talk about that in just a second.
Right across those limbs.
I think I may have found a replacement for that frog,
All right, we're gonna let you go, buddy.
but
Thanks for playing.
yeah, we'll
Fun.
always fun
Good
catching
times.
frogs.
With the
Yeah, there's
frog.
that
Let's
frog.
go
You
back
can
at it.
already, if you get a glimpse of it, you can tell that there it is. Okay, so we're gonna just pause it right here. So yeah, it's a lunker hunt frog, the one with the realistic legs. But as you can see here, I've modified the legs. The legs were taken off either by gar, pike, turtles. I don't know. The legs just kept getting eaten off of my frogs. And I was actually throwing away these bodies after I'd lose the legs. I would just get rid of them. So, there was one I actually replaced. I put a silicone skirt in the replacement of the legs, which worked okay. But as you can see here, I actually found worms. I think they're either Carlin's worms or culprit worms, something like that. But they're not a super soft plastic. They're pretty rigid, so they're pretty durable. But I found these that were about the right diameter that would fit into that frog, and then I just super glue those into the leg holes. But here's the whole story about this frog. As ever since I've done that, ever since I replaced those legs with these worms, the bite on this frog has gone way up. I don't know exactly why. I don't know if it's because it's the color, the profile. I don't know if it's because they're a little bit translucent or transparent. Maybe it's because it's a different flapping action. Although I do fish this frog a lot of kind of like a twitch pause, not just like a straight retrieve. So it's really a hybrid frog that I've just kept in operation. Like I've said, I've had to resharpen these hooks so many times that I'm actually going to replace this frog now because the hooks are getting short because I've had to sharpen them so much. Like I don't even think I have a barb left on these hooks, or I'm real close to that barb being sharpened off. I've caught so many bass with this frog. But with that said, I think I may have found a replacement for 2024. It's going to make an appearance. I'll show you guys right now. And the reason why I think I found a replacement, before I show you guys that frog real quick, let me talk about that. Yeah, so on this frog, I did also color the bottom of this frog, like the breast of this frog. I painted it bright orange, orange and red and yellow, to make it kind of look like there it is, to make it look like a sunfish or a bluegill, something like that. There's a lot of those fish that are in the water that I'm fishing, especially in the Northwest, where there's a lot of these sunfish that are orange-breasted, bluegill, orange-breasted sunfish. So I made that color, but so now on to the replacement. The frog that might make an appearance in 2024 is this one right here. This one already is starting out pretty decent. If you look at the body, it has those molded legs in the body. I've looked for a frog that resembles a lunker hunt frog with those realistic legs, but without the realistic legs and a different price point than what Lunker Hunt is wanting to sell their frogs at. I think a Lunker Hunt frog, say like in Cabela's or Bass Pro Shops, is now something like $9, almost $10. This one, which is almost the same identical profile, and about the same weight, but in my opinion is giving me a good starting point for colors because I love blue. I love black and blue in my frogs. I love that orange breast. I might put some red and maybe a little bit of highlight of yellow right in the middle. I like that chartreuse green on the back. I may fish it first with these silicone skirts, and then as it goes on, I may replace it with worms, as I've done on that frog. But so here's the thing about this one. I think this one is a reaction tackle frog. You can find them on Amazon, but you get 2 in a box. I think for maybe like $7, $8, something like that. So you get 2 hollow body frogs. The only thing I'll say, the hooks look good on this. The hooks look nice and stout. Hooks look fine. The only thing is that this body probably needs to either get boiled so it softens up a little bit, or maybe I like to use a heat gun to kind of soften that body up. That there's a ridge right there on either side of those hooks that use a little bit of a working in. Maybe it may just work into itself after catching some bass or just doing this a few times. I might do this until next year. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, so that might make an appearance in 2024. You guys might want to check them out. 2 frogs for the price of 1, basically. I think they're called reaction tackle. Number 4. All right, we are back at on the Tar River in North Carolina, Tar River Reservoir. Caught this monster on a spinnerbait. I believe that she was sitting just outside the grass line, guarding a bed. I think either she was ready to move up to the bed or was guarding that grass line.
I'm throwing this spinnerbait forever.
The visibility and clarity on this reservoir is extremely poor, and I knew that they would bite a spinnerbait, but it was a matter of presenting a spinnerbait to them and giving them enough time to bite. I usually throw a trailer on my spinnerbait as well. This one I was fishing. I usually throw a spinnerbait something like this. This is a Berkeley power bait. You can see that this one is chartreuse. This one is in a fire tiger color. This is chartreuse and some orange on the bottom there. I like this with the copper or the brass color blades. This one is in a 1/4 ounce. I love throwing the 1/4 ounce. If I'm not throwing that in stained water, I'm throwing this one in clear water. This is a shad spawn color. I like this one as well. This one's got the dual blades, copper and a chrome, or whatever you want to call that, brass and silver. But I'll throw this one in clear water. I'll throw this one more in stained water. I usually do throw a trailer on these. However, let me just mention real quick that keep in mind the weight that you're adding to these. So I throw a 1/4 ounce and I add a trailer to it, and it brings it up to about a 3/8, almost a 1/2 ounce spinnerbait. But that was a good catch. That one was monster bass, monster bite. And I ended up catching a 5-pound on the very next cast after that one. So, all right, moving right along. Number 3. All right, this one was in North Carolina as well. This was just outside of Charlotte, if I remember correctly. I saw that bird sitting on this laydown, and I saw it pick up a fish. I also saw some bait fish over there, and I saw some of the bait fish getting blown up on. So that was going to be my first cast right after launching. And then this happened. On the Chapo. This is actually a Chapo 120. I caught this on in the MF Shad. So that's what it looks like right there, made by Berkeley. This is the Chapo. I'm sure a lot of you guys know exactly what this is. But I love this bait. I also have it in the 105, but I think the 120 is where it's at for me. Now, in this video, this is just from my personal collection. But this is a solid bass, another one over 5 pounds. But this, I called the Chapo, I called it a whopper plopper there for a second. But let me just say about the whopper plopper versus a Chapo. I think the whopper plopper does not perform like the Chapo. I think the whopper plopper is way overpriced for what it is, and I think the Chapo is just a better option if you're talking about a prop style bait. There's a couple other companies that make them, like Guggen makes their own where it's in the middle. Bass Pro Shops has theirs, Cabela's has theirs. But for me, it's the Berkeley Chapo. That's what I like. That's what I go with. That's where I have my confidence in it, and it's probably it's got to be in my top 5 baits of all time. I absolutely love it. I love fishing it. When the conditions are right, I think it brings up really big bass. And this one was another good sized bass. But I do have it in several different colors, but I really do like that MF shad color. I love the black, and this is a little bit more matte. They do have one that's in chrome, but I think this one, for me anyways, this is where it's at. This is what is it? 4 and 5/7 inch long, 1 ounce at 28 grams. This one does have a rattle in it, so you can hear it through the box. It does have a rattle. It does have those fusion hooks on it right out of the box. I think this one is a stellar bait. So if you guys don't have experience with a Chapo, try it out. You're probably going to get into some big bass with it. Try throwing it around laydowns. Try throwing it around the outside of docks. The only thing I will say is make sure that you are tied on with a rod that has got some good backbone, but some medium action to it. Or if it does have fast action to it, make sure that you guys have your drag set right, because these are treble hooks, so it will just pull it right out of the mouth if you crank down on it too much. So you got to fish it in between, kind of like that
over 20 inches
that
with
frog
the
rod
Chapo.
and a crankbait. It's definitely a top water bite, but it can handle some weight. So I usually throw this on at least 17-pound fluorocarbon. Rarely do I ever throw it on braid. Number two is in North Carolina again. I believe this one is just outside of Charlotte on this creek that I found that produced a lot of big bass. I looked away for a second, looked back, that frog was gone, so I set the hook and immediately knew I was into a big old toad eater, but really knew it when it comes right here and just jumps up out of the water. I love that. I love when a frog, or when a bass does that on a frog. Like it, especially when I can net it and it doesn't jump off. But yeah, that was a tank. I kept calling it a toad eater, but the toad that it ate is a lunker hunt toad that they don't make anymore, in black with a blue pattern on the back. I'll pause it here in a second and talk to you guys about it. But this toad, for whatever reason, for me anyways, it produces big bass. It really does get the big bass bite. I usually fish it when I'm looking at just for a real big bite. Here, I'll pause it and we'll talk about it here in a second. There we go. So yeah, this toad's a lunker hunt toad. They don't make it anymore. It's discontinued. But I still have this one. I'm still keeping it in operation, and always repairing it, always replacing those silicone skirts on it. But I wish they did make this one. But if you guys are like me and you want to maybe get a toad that's kind of this same profile, I've looked for several toads that kind of resemble the same weight and size and profile, and I've come up with 3 on a list for you guys. So you can look at the Savage Gear DC Walker frog in all black, the Live Target hollow body frog in all black, and the Booyah Pad Crasher in Night Train. Now I actually have the Booyah Pad Crasher in Night Train. Here it is. It's got those blue eyes. It's got that bronze little speck on the side. It resembles a toad, a frog, or maybe even a shad at times. If you're like me, I like dark frogs with blue in them. I'm always looking for toads, hollow bodies that have blue in them. I really do like this toad. Now, I will say one thing about this toad, not trying to discourage you from possibly buying this toad, but this one is one of the most popular hollow body frogs that's bought or purchased. So there may be a lot of people who have this one and who are fishing it. If you care about that kind of deal, I really don't. It doesn't really discourage me because, for one, my toads, I end up modifying them out of the box. And if you've seen my other toads on this video, that they get beat up, and I end up making major modifications or customize them in a way that I don't think anyone else is throwing these frogs. This one is basically straight out of the package. The only thing I did was cut the skirt just one little bit shorter. So what that does is it does favor it when it starts to walk. It does kick it a little bit harder. But outside of that, I really don't mind too much to the whole theory that someone else is fishing a frog or fishing a lure, because number one, I try not to fish around a lot of people, and then number two, I try to look for bass that aren't getting targeted all the time. So if you're like me, you look for something to replace this one. Like I said, Savage Gear DC Walker in all black, Live Target Hollow Body Frog in all black, and the Booyah Pad Crasher in Night Train. So let's hit the play button and get going on this. This one was a good bass because I was looking for a bass that was over 20 inches, which this one fit the bill. I think it was 20 and a quarter, 20 and a half, something like that. But if you look at how beefy this bass was, I mean, from the bottom of that gill plate all the way to the top of its back, that thing is just beefy. Love it. So that made the list for number 2. We are getting down to the number 1 bass of the top 10 bites of 2023. Thanks to those of you who have stuck with me so far. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. We're going to get to number 1 here in just a second, but I just want to take a moment and say thank you guys, and let's get to number 1. Number 1. I can't believe we're already to number 1. This has been a fun video to go through these top 10 bites of 2023. This area, to me, just screams big bass territory. I mean, it's protected on 3 sides. It's got several laydowns. It's got vegetation. It's kind of a flat that has access to deeper water. So when I look at areas like this, which I'm always looking for pockets like this, to me, it just screams a big buffet table for those big, beefy bass to come up and grab themselves a snack. They're just going to come up here anytime they want, looking for anything to eat. If that's whether that's a frog, a trapped bait fish, or a mouse, maybe even a baby duck. This one gave me a fight. Almost fell out of the kayak there. I was thankful that limb was not rotted and just would have snapped in half. I would have been in big trouble there. But this bass was stout. I think if this bass was pre-spawn or right before it spawned, this bass would have been pushing well over 8 pounds. But I think today, because this is actually post-spawn, this bass was probably somewhere over 6.5 pounds to 7 pounds. It's a big bass. If you guys are familiar with how cameras work and everything, the wide angles of he just slammed it. The wide angles of a GoPro just don't really show the true size of fish. But this one was healthy. I think it came in 21.5 inches or something like that. But this bass meant a lot to me for 2023. It actually helped me finish really well in a tournament. It helped me qualify for a few things. And again, on that lunker hunt toad that's discontinued, like I said, you guys can replace it with the DC Walker Frog in Black, the Live Target Hollow Body Frog in Black, or the Booyah Pad Crasher Night Train. But man, I can't believe that we're coming to an end of 2023 and we're getting into 2024 already. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it as much as I have making it for you. I say that a lot, but I really do appreciate your guys' comments and feedback and participation in this channel. It really does mean a lot to me. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I can't believe 2023 is coming to an end already. It's just flown by. But, hopefully you guys are spending this time of year with family and loved ones. And, I want to encourage you to reach out to someone that maybe needs that friend at this time of year. Let them know that you're thinking about them, that you care, and I'll do the same. I know that this time of year can be hard on people, whether they're missing family, can't be with them, or have lost them in the past. It's just important that we reach out and support each other. So I want to encourage you guys to do the same. With that said, 2024 is right around the bend, and I've got a lot of projects that are coming up and content that's coming to you guys. Really looking forward to it. Don't forget to hit that subscription button, that notification bell, and leave your best guess for that American Classic truck that's coming to OneBadShad. You can't forget about that. Also, we've got those jigs that are coming to you in 2024, so look forward to that as well. And until next time, or until next year, man, it's crazy to say, but yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in 2024. You guys take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you again.